Paytm aims to get profitable in under a year and is also looking to revamp its online wealth management services. Varun Beverages ends almost 17% higher after popping over 18% on the announcement that PepsiCo bottler will acquire South African beverage company Bevco. The Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has requested PM Modi to release about 2,000 crore rupees as relief for supporting the infrastructure as heavy rains deluge the state. Colorado Supreme Court has disqualified former U.S. President Donald Trump from 2024 presidential elections, says Trump forfeited his right to run for re-election by inciting the January 6 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Now, before we delve deep into the headline, let's move straight to the top story of this evening. Benchmarks closed over 1.5% lower. Nifty slips over 400 points and records the worst intraday fall in over 3 months. We have a chart on the screen as well for our viewers to take a look at it. Let's also go to our colleague Agam Vakil for a quick wrap of the day's action. Agam, the markets really surprised everyone. What exactly went wrong towards the end of the day?
Right, well, it did certainly take everyone by surprise because not a lot of traders and investors were expecting this kind of a move today. Do remember that today was also the weekly options expiry for the Bank Nifty, but I'm going to start off with the benchmarks. The Nifty came off by around 300 points at the end of the day, declining by around 1.4%. A lot of weakness in the banking index as well, just short of the 1% decline today, but we were well off the 48,000 mark, which is what a lot of traders were expecting that the options expiry would come through at. In fact, we closed at a good 500 points below that, which means that a lot of put traders, the put sellers, were caught in this carnage. As far as your broader markets are concerned as well, the mid-cap and the small-cap indices came off by quite a bit. We saw 3% correction from the day's highs for each of these indices. And in terms of the key sectoral losers too, we had a lot of weakness in the media indices, the realty indices, along with the PSU banking index as well, which took a sharp knock in today's day of trade. As you can see on your screen there, we did have red all across. Among the handful of sectors which did in fact advance in today's day of trade were the IT index, to a certain extent maintaining the gains, and the BSE oil and gas index, but that was largely on account of just two stocks in today's day of trade. All in all, it was something that not a lot of traders were expecting. And remember, we move into the weekly options expiry for the Nifty. So that is also something that we're going to keep an eye on. Besides the fact that whether or not there will be a large FII, DII sell number, that is something that will be determined through the course of the next couple of hours. And that will also have an effect as far as tomorrow's markets are concerned.
All right, Agam, thanks so much. We also got a chance to speak to many market experts, and here's what they had to say about the fall in the markets. Let's take a quick look at that.
Anything which starts off rather violently generally tends to continue a little more. So now, of course, it's very debatable whether today's fall is a kind of a violent fall or not. So we hit something like 21,680 at the highs on the Nifty future, and we are down by what now about 300 points or more from the high, 350 points. So given the recent set of reaction, this can certainly be kind of taken as a violent change. Now, what this will do, first of all, to answer your question, I'll actually come to it, whether this is a downtrend which is commenced or not. First thing, what we should expect is that when you have an outsized reaction after a sustained move, something which has not been seen for quite a while. The last time we saw a sustained fall was, when the market went down by about 200 odd points. This was about earlier week and all that. So about 300, 350 points down from the top will kind of seal the highs. If you looked at the option position yesterday itself, you saw that the put sellers had come up to all the way to the 21,500 level. This indicated a high degree of complacence, and I think those people might have been taken to the cleaners today. Now, there was not much of call shots in the system for the Nifty, so I think people were still looking for much higher levels on the Nifty. Across the globe, I think everybody was looking for various kinds of landmarks, whether it is the S&P or the Dow or the Nifty at 22,000 or the Bank Nifty at 50,000. So when this kind of thinking comes in, some amount of complacence does creep into the system. So what this will do is first seal the high at 2160 for the time being, and then we will look for a continuation. Now, if you take the most recent move, which was up from somewhere around 2900, and that started from a recent swing low, and I think that will retrace to about 50%, which will give you 21,290, 21,300 on the futures. And that is pretty much a target zone for a lot of people. And if that were to break, then you have the 61.8% retracement, which is right into the gap zone which we left, at the start of this week. So that would be somewhere close to 21,200. I think currently I would see that as a lower end of this, and then the market to remain in some sort of a consolidation. But for the immediate future, I think 21,680 should be a high. The lower side, we will take it on a day-to-day basis because there's too much of buying force which was happening, and this was a sudden root shock.
This is first time happening in the market after a long uptrend which we are seeing in the market since last couple of weeks. This first time we are seeing that market has shown some significant profit taking, and now Nifty, yes, trading at very important and critical support area, that is at around 21,250, and most of the put writers are now covering the position. That clearly shows that now again they are on the back foot as in the first part of the day, yes, there was aggression at 21,400 strike, but now they have covered most of the position and now shifting it back to 21,000, even 21,200 strike. So that clearly shows that the confidence is a little shaky at this moment for near-term to short-term perspective on the Nifty, as well as even on the Bank Nifty front. Also, the major the put writer base was at around 47,700. That has already taken out by the market. So for Bank Nifty, again, the put writers are now shifting back to 47,000, even 47,200. So that clearly shows that, yes, there is a hit on the confidence of the market at this moment. And we could see further more pressure, or we can see further more follow-up selling in the market if he breaks below 21,250 on Nifty, and for Bank Nifty, if he breaks below 47,500, then we can see further more corrective action from the current level. But overall, long-term structure is still on the bullish side. But for near-term trend, yes, we can see further more follow-up selling. On the higher side, until Nifty not now crosses about 21,400, we could see again, whatever minor pullback, if it comes, then we could meet a supply pressure on the higher side. And for Bank Nifty, 47,800 is the critical level for trading perspective.
Well, I think the way the markets have moved up, I think these kind of corrections are to be expected, and possibly they should be considered as healthy. And when you are at these kind of levels and with such kind of unabated rise that we have seen in the past 1 month, I think the decline also will at times will happen very sharply. But I think on an overall basis, if you see, there's a lot of tailwind in terms of the FI support, which is now re-emerging, which was absent. The domestic flows still continue to be good. Why I'm harping on some of these is because 9 out of 10 bull markets have really been driven by the liquidity. So I think this one is also not an exception. Otherwise, fundamentally, we are in such a position. Markets are significantly ahead of the intrinsic fundamentals of the companies, of the overall economy. They will continue to be ahead, but how much ahead of the intrinsic fundamentals, that always remains a challenge.
Now, that was a wrap on the markets and how they fared during the day. Indeed, a very action-packed day. Let's move on to Asad Engineering IPO that opened for subscription during the day. Now, the company aims to raise about 740 crore rupees through this IPO. My colleague Saloni Kothari joins in with more on this. Saloni, the IPO has opened. What exactly is the company's plan going ahead for this?
Right. So Asad Engineering IPO opened for subscription today, and we've been talking about IPOs opening this week, about 8 companies that have been coming up with their issue. Now for Asad Engineering, the price band is in the range of rupees 499 to 524, and the company aims to raise rupees 740 crore, which is a mix of fresh issue and offer for sale. Now talking about the subscription numbers, because it was the first day. So as of 4 p.m. it was subscribed over 2 times. So that means it was oversubscribed on the first day itself, led by retail investors, which bid nearly 3 times, and non-institutional investors about 4 times. I do want to mention that throughout the week and even the last week, retail investors have been the ones who have kind of been the first ones to chase the IPOs that have been coming, and actually subscribing it on the first day itself, leading to oversubscription in that category. Talking about Asad Engineering, again, it is a key manufacturer of qualified product in the energy, aerospace and defense and oil and gas industries. So therefore, it's made analysts very bullish on the kind of segment that the company is working on, and also the kind of manufacturing and the production capabilities that it has.
All right, Saloni, thanks so much for that quick wrap on the IPO. Let's move on to the RBI's latest move that broke last evening. Now, in order to stop the misuse of alternative investment fund, RBI has come up with a circular which is expected to have an impact on the market as well. My colleague Vishwanath Nair spoke to Ishwar Kara, the CEO of Kotak Special Situations Fund, about this move. Here is what he had to say on this.
All the Cat 2 AIFs will get impacted by this, because I'm sure quite a large number of them would have sponsors who would be REs.
Right.
So whoever have got RE as their a sponsor and they're raising funds through that, they would be affected, because they have to make sure that, and the other part is that even if we were to make this investment, it says that you need to provide 100% on that the RE needs to provide 100% on the entire investment.
Correct.
I think there should be a clarification saying that only to the extent of the end use going towards that company, right?
Understood. Okay.
In which the RE had an exposure.
So not the
Why
entire
should all
investment.
the other investments also be provided for? So I think that is another clarification which would be in order to clarify this position.
The last question
But
from
all
my side.
AIF Cat 2s will get affected if they have REs. And there are a whole lot of NBFCs who have actually invested in AIFs.
Understood. Last question from my side. There's a very tight 30-day deadline that the RBI set for unwinding these investments. Who's the buyer at the other end? Is the market deep enough for these REs to exit these investments without it becoming a bit of an issue?
It will be a big challenge, Vishy, because understand that they're the sponsors. Most of them are also sponsors of the AIFs. And sponsor commitment is mandatory because of, let's say, it could range from anywhere from 5% to 25% of the corpus of the AIF. And because he's putting in that money, you are able to raise the balance, whatever, 75 to 95% from other LPs. So if you pull out the capital from the sponsor in 30 days, the whole AIF will collapse, right? The fund will collapse.
Well, that was Vishwanath Nair with our guest on RBI's latest move. It's time for a short break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching The Reporter on NDTV Profit. Now moving towards an emerging health crisis, the JN.1 Covid variant. Now an NDTV report has said that 21 cases of the new variant have been confirmed so far in the lab tests. Union Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia also chaired a meeting with all the states and UT's health ministers on the ongoing surge of Covid cases due to this particular new variant. Later in the day, Niti Aayog member Vinod K. Paul also spoke to the media about this particular meeting. Here's what he had to say on this.
देश में as per our records लगभग 2300 एक्टिव केसेस हैं. कल कोई 519 केस रिपोर्ट हुए हैं. इसके पहले 2 हफ्ते में 10 दिन में 100-110 इस तरह से केसेस आते हैं. लेकिन ट्यूसडे की रिपोर्टिंग वीकेंड की कई बार हाई होती है. ये वो भी हो सकता है, लेकिन हो सकता है कि प्रभाव इस सिचुएशन में इस स्वरूप में कोविड-19 का बढ़ रहा है. ये हो सकता है. केरल में केसेस हैं, तमिलनाडु में है, कर्नाटक में है, खासकर गोवा में भी थोड़ा कंसर्न है. तो एक नए थोड़ी सी आउटब्रेक जरूर सामने आई है. और ये भी देखने में आया है कि इस बारी जो आउटब्रेक है वो हो सकता है कि एक सब टाइप है जो BA 2.86 का वेरिएंट आगे जो स्वरूप लिया उसने सब टाइप है JN.1. उसकी वजह से ये अपसर्ज हुई है. बाहर के देशों में भी ये वेरिएंट आना शुरू हुआ है. जैसे यूएस में 15 से 25% में कहा जा रहा है कि अब आ गया है. कोई घबराने वाली बात नहीं है पहले तो, क्योंकि इस वेरिएंट की जितने भी अभी तक समझ है फैलने की क्षमता रख रहा है, लेकिन माइल्ड डिजीज करता है, खांसी जुकाम ही करता है. सीरियस डिजीज का इसका स्वरूप अभी तक जितना हम जानते हैं बिल्कुल नहीं है. हम अगर टोटल पिक्चर देखें तो सारे ही केसेस में से 91% मतलब 91-92% लोग घरों में ही हैं, अपनी नॉर्मल प्रक्रिया कर रहे हैं, खांसी जुकाम को वहन कर रहे हैं. और वजह से भी आता रहता है, सर्दियों का सीजन है. और जो भी डेथ्स हुई हैं पिछले 2 हफ्तों में टोटल 16 डेथ हुई हैं टोटल. वो लगभग उन्हीं व्यक्तियों में हुई हैं एज पर आवर रिकॉर्ड्स एंड इंफॉर्मेशन जिनमें की सीरियस कोमॉर्बिडिटीज है, कोई हार्ट की डिजीज है, डायबिटीज है, हाइपरटेंशन है, कैंसर है. ऐसे ही लोगों में जैसे कि कोई भी इन्फेक्शन फ्लू हो या कोविड हो ज्यादा असर करता है, वैसा ही दिखाई दे रहा है.
Well, that was Vinod K. Paul on addressing the public that there's no need to panic with the new variant or the surge in COVID cases. Let's move on. At the recent ACMA press conference or the ACMA press conference, my colleague Vinay caught up with Shraddha Puri Marwa, who's the president of the organization. He spoke about the impact of EV on the automobile sector, the expected turnover in FY24 and other such important details. Let's have a look at the conversation.
So I think that a second half will also be double digits. So we can expect anything between 10 to 12%. That's where we expect the industry to be.
And what would you say is the biggest contributor to this growth that we are seeing right now? Because some markets we are seeing are under a bit of pressure, if you see, and what could be the contributor in the coming months as well?
I think all the sectors are growing. The domestic market is growing. There has been an uptake in the domestic market, and we've grown double digits over last year. The aftermarket is also growing, and for us, even exports have grown, even though a little bit, but they have grown. So across the board, there's growth.
One thing I wanted to ask about was the EVs. We saw that the FAME incentive is being talked about. It's going to be discontinued. That's what the reports say. And right now, I know that it's not a big contributor to the auto component industry right now. But it should have made some impact on the outlook of the industry from here on.
So the outlook of the industry still remains strong. As far as policies are concerned, I do believe that whatever policies do come, they're going to be advantages both for the country as well as for the industry. So I'm not seeing a big issue there right now.
If we look at the overall EV transition, there is a bit of components that are not going to be used in the coming future. So I just wanted to ask about what is the preparation from our industry as to whether we are prepared to do that change, and what kind of investments will that transition need for the industry to?
So I think as an industry, we're investing already to pivot into EV, and the government policies in terms of the PLI scheme, etc., actually support it. I don't. And as scale comes, localization comes. There's a huge impetus right now for design in India and localize in India. So that will happen.
That was my colleague Vinay from the ACMA press conference. Well, that's also what we have for you on The Reporter. Till then, keep watching NDTV Profit.